Maya Turner was already running 5 minutes late. The morning had been chaos. Her bus broke down halfway through its route, her phone was at 17%, and the oat milk she desperately needed for her coffee was missing from the office fridge. She hated being late. Especially at a place like Kensley and Hart, a Fortune 500 company where showing up on time felt like a daily competition. Ducking into the gleaming Midtown Tower lobby, Maya fumbled with her badge, speed-walked across the marble floor, and jabbed the elevator button. She barely looked up from her phone, where a calendar reminder blinked, "Team stand-up, 9 a.m. sharp." She muttered an apology as she slipped into the open elevator, squeezing past a man holding a briefcase. The doors shut. That's when she looked at the panel. Her stomach sank. There was no 10, her floor. Just numbers in the 70s, 80s, and one button already glowing, 93. She was in the Executive Express. "Oh no," she whispered. A beep. The elevator began its swift, silent ascent. Panic bubbled. She imagined security descending like hawks, escorting her back to the lobby in front of everyone. She'd only been at the company 3 months. A marketing assistant, bottom of the ladder, barely noticed. And now she was trespassing in CEO territory. Before she could plot an escape, the elevator stopped on floor 40. The doors opened, and in walked a man in his late 50s. Silver-streaked hair, slightly wrinkled suit, and, oddly, 2 cardboard trays stacked with coffee cups. He wore a loosened tie and sneakers, looking more like a stressed intern than a high-ranking exec. As he stepped in, one of the trays tilted. A coffee cup slipped, flipping midair before hitting the floor and bursting open in a frothy splash. The man groaned. Perfect. Just perfect. Without thinking, Maya dropped to her knees and pulled out a tissue pack from her tote. "Here, I got it," she said, blotting the spill before it reached the control panel. He blinked. "Thank you. That's very kind of you. Coffee tragedies call for teamwork," she smiled, trying to ease the moment. He laughed, warm and genuine. "You'd be surprised how many people would have stepped back and let me deal with it alone." "Maybe they didn't have tissues," she quipped, standing up and wiping her hands. He handed her a coffee from the surviving tray. "This one's for you then. Consider it a thank you." Maya hesitated. "Really?" He nodded. "Really?" She took it, the warmth of the cup seeping into her fingers. "I'm Maya, by the way. I work on the 10th floor, usually." "I'm James," he said. No title. No job description. Just James. "Nice to meet you, James." "Anne. I'm really sorry for stepping into the wrong elevator." He tilted his head. "Who says it's the wrong one?" The ride resumed. Over the next 30 floors, they chatted. He asked her what she did. She explained that she was an assistant in marketing, mostly scheduling meetings, proofreading campaigns, and dreaming about contributing something meaningful. Her passion, she told him, was using storytelling to spark real change. He asked what kind of change. So she told him about a side project she'd started after college, partnering with local restaurants to donate leftover food to shelters. She'd even drafted a proposal to expand the idea through corporate networks like theirs, but it sat untouched in her someday folder. After all, who was going to listen to a junior assistant? James was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. "Well, Maya," he said as the elevator stopped on 93. "How about you come pitch that idea again, this time, to some people who can make it happen?" Her eyebrows shot up. "Wait, what?" He stepped out, turned, and added casually, "I might know a few." The doors began to close. She stood frozen until they reopened. James had held them for her. "Come on," he said with a grin. "It's just coffee and a conversation." 10 minutes later, Maya found herself in a conference room unlike anything she'd ever seen. The windows looked out over the city like a movie set. Seated around the table were 7 senior executives. James walked in and placed the coffee trays on the table. "Before we start," he said, "there's someone I want you to meet. She has an idea that could help this company do more than just build brand equity, it could change lives." And with that, he gestured to Maya. Her mouth went dry. Her fingers trembled. But then she remembered, this wasn't about her. It was about people who went hungry while food went to waste. It was about kids who'd go to bed with empty stomachs, and kitchens throwing out surplus that could have fed them. So she spoke. She told them about shelters she'd worked at, and restaurants she'd coordinated with. She explained how a centralized system could route leftover food from company events, cafeterias, and partners to shelters in real time. She talked about food safety, tax incentives, partnerships with local transport apps, and how the company could lead by example. Silence. Then one executive leaned forward. "Do you have a written proposal?" She nodded. "In my desk drawer. I just didn't think I'd ever get to share it." James turned to the room. "Let's review it. I want a pilot launched within 2 weeks." No one argued. Later that afternoon, a team from HR called Maya into a private meeting. They offered her a new position, project coordinator for community initiatives, with a raise, a team of 2, and a direct line to James. Only then did she learn his full name, James Caldwell, CEO of the entire company. 6 months later, Maya stood on a stage beside James at a press event. The pilot program, now called Plate Forward, had recovered over 30,000 pounds of unused food, serving over 50,000 meals across shelters and community centers in the city. Several Fortune 500 companies had signed on to replicate the model. Reporters snapped pictures. Her name was on the press release. When she spoke, her voice was clear. "This all started with one small act of kindness. I didn't save a company. I just cleaned up a spilled coffee. But sometimes, what you do when no one's watching, that's what opens the next door." 1 year later, Maya's program had gone national. She now oversaw a network of over 80 corporations donating meals in more than 20 cities. And yet, she still kept that stained tissue packet in her desk drawer, a small reminder of a big moment. Every now and then, when new hires asked about how she rose so fast in the company, she'd smile and say, "I just stepped into the wrong elevator." In life, it's not always about being in the right place at the right time. Sometimes, it's about being the right kind of person, no matter where you are. A simple act of kindness, a spilled coffee, a shared smile, these moments may seem small. But they are bridges. They are turning points. And if your heart is open, if you lead with compassion, you just might find yourself on the elevator ride that changes everything.